last time we checked in on Southern California real estate, we were finding it to be at the depths. We were finding inventory building, pendings are down, offers non-existent. But in the last month, has the market flipped? Has interest rates falling caused people to step up? Are people shopping, or are we just in the depths of winter season and we'll see what happens next spring? Adrian, what's going on? What's happened in the last month or so?
Yeah, it's interesting. We, as you guys all know, we saw a little bit of a dip in rates, and everybody said all we need is a little dip, and the whole market turns back on. And I don't want to say that is the case at all. We are trending up. We are seeing transaction count going up. We are seeing a lot of personal deals that we have that are selling much faster. A lot of investors that are coming back in and saying, "Hey, we're buying now. Send me what you have." So we are seeing more of that, not as crazy as everybody would think. I still think there's a lot of people are a little hopeful for what could happen, which is some questions for you as we get this discussion rolling.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Again, if you're paying attention on my daily financial news, for folks, I told you this was going to happen 2 weeks ago, and that was refi demand started first. And we just got the numbers this morning. Refi demand's up like 70% year on year, 48% week on week. So just a gigantic move. Why? Why is that? Well, if you go back in the time machine and go back 2 years, there were a lot of people that were sold this idea of marry the house, date the rate, which means they bought these 2-1 buy downs. And for the better part of the last 2 years, it's been a horrible strategy. However, they're getting lucky. They are getting lucky. Rates have come down right at the time that these are starting to expire. And a lot of people are going to do rate and term refis, hopefully get into 30-year fixed rate debt. That's already happening. So we nailed that on this channel. The big question I have for you is step 2 is asset owners, people that already own real estate. I really believe this. The amount of equity sitting in housing today has never been higher. And I think what's going to happen if rates stay at these levels or continue to trend down is we're going to see $1 trillion in refi demand.
I see.
So, yeah, some of that's going to be, paying off credit card debt. Some of that's going to be paying off, student loans, whatever. Right? Who knows where the money goes? But the fact is $1 trillion is coming out in cash. And then to your point, I don't think the buying market, or AKA the purchase market, turns on until there's a 5 handle. And we're close. Yesterday it was 6.13. Who knows what it will be at the end of the day after the Fed meeting. But, we're within spitting distance of a 5 handle. And I've often believed that's the 5 handle that will ignite demand. So step 1, rate and term, already happening. Step 2, cash out refi, might be starting soon, and then purchase. What say you?
Yeah, I agree. It was interesting at the beginning of the year. You and I had this conversation in January, and you did say we're going to see a very interesting year. And what I said to my crew right after that is we're going to see an interesting year until Q4, right? Until Q4. And to your point, I don't see anything changing until 5%, right? Anything major. I still see, because we have offers and I can look through the brokerage, we still have tons of offers, tons of concessions being asked, tons of rate buy downs still taking place right now. So you are right. I see that 5. My question for you is that there's all these big gurus on social media right now talking about 2 rate cuts between now and the end of the year. This is a big Fed. I mean, everybody puts so much hype on everything.
Yeah.
Let's talk what is really happening. What could really happen today? How does that affect us moving forward?
Yeah, so I'll talk about what I think will happen versus what I hope happens, because again, I'm in the camp that they should cut 50. I think July was a mistake. I think they should cut in September as well. So that's how I get to 50. I'm just going to go with the market. The market is saying there's a 94% chance of a quarter. But I think the bigger question, because we will also get this today in what's called the dot plot, which is basically 18 Fed presidents saying what they expect over the next 12 months and 24 months. I think the dot plots are going to come out shockingly dovish. What does that mean? More rate cuts, more often, greater frequency. I think what you're going to see in the dot plot, and again, we're recording this 1 hour and 52 minutes before the release. So we're recording this before the release. So just for clarity, it'll be posted after the release. But I think we're going to be shocked at how dovish the dot plot is, which means I think at the last one they were saying 2 total cuts in 25.
Right.
It would not shock me if they're now saying 3 cuts, but don't forget they will also have just cut. So that's a total of 4 when you're comparing last time to this time.
Right.
And I think that's going to be meaningful. More importantly, there's a very good chance that they forecast 6 or 7 cuts between now and the end of next year. So I believe what they're going to do is they're going to initiate what's called a dovish release, and that is going to have a positive impact on rates. But yeah, that's what I think is coming. I think they're going to, again, in the dot plot, what do? What do they expect for rates? What do they expect with unemployment? What do they expect with inflation?
Right.
You know, we're going to get all of those, and I think the Fed's going to come out shockingly dovish, and I think rates will be down from here. But again, I could be wrong, and you know, we'll find out in 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, and we also know that when they cut rates, it doesn't immediately affect mortgage rates. So
that's a good point.
When do you see that actually happening? What cut could there? Is there like an actual?
This is the most important question I wish more people asked. Step 1 of this question: mortgage rates are down because they've already priced in a quarter point. Let me be very clear. The mortgage market, the bond market, is way ahead of the Fed. So do not expect mortgage rates to go down simply because they did a quarter. That already happened. However, if I am right and the dot plot and Jerome Powell are dovish, super dovish in the press conference, you will see mortgage rates react to that and go lower. Right? Because he's basically saying more cuts are coming and the market's not ready. But the market will reprice that within days.
Within days, right.
Yeah, if not, yeah. So within days, you know, by the end of the week for sure. However, he could come out and be a hawk and say things like, this is one and done, you know, we'll wait till next year. He could be a super hawk, and in that case, mortgage rates will go up. So again, if the Fed cuts, it's already priced in. But if he comes out hawkish, you will see mortgage rates rise, which happened last time, right? The Fed cut 50 and mortgage rates went up.
Exactly.
So really, it's all about the dot plot and the tone. Is Jerome Powell and the Fed dovish? Mortgage rates will continue to fall, or is he going to come out and just be Mr. Pterodactyl and take and force mortgage rates up? We'll know in 2 hours and 19 minutes.
Can't wait to find out.
Yeah,
Can't wait to find out. Are you? Do you see them being more of the?
I think he's got to be dovish. I don't know how he's not a dove.
Yeah.
If he comes out and is a hawk or a pterodactyl, I think he's doing it solely for political reason because he wants to hurt Trump. And I don't think that's what you do for the country. But it's possible, right? And he could do that. But I think generally speaking, the dot plot's going to be super dovish. Jerome Powell at Jackson Hole meeting basically said labor over inflation. Inflation is not really showing up. PPI was deflationary, which means a negative number. Right. And I think the job market is a wreck. And again, that's why I think they should go 50 and, initiate a cutting cycle. So yeah, that's my hope. But again, we'll see.
Now Powell's his term is up. Is that correct?
He's out in May of 26.
Do we really see him leaving doing that, or do we see him leaving with cuts? I mean, I don't see him leaving on a bad note. I mean,
Yeah. I think you're right. I think you're onto something. And I think more people should ask themselves this question. I think there's too much political nonsense going on. I think you should just put yourself in Jerome Powell's shoes and realize that Jerome Powell at this point in his career, he's already rich, right? He's already rich. He doesn't need the money.
Right.
But what he's playing for is his legacy.
Exactly.
He wants to be known as the guy that beat inflation.
Right.
He doesn't want to be known as Arthur Burns. He'd rather be Paul Volcker. And if you don't know who those two guys are, look them up.
You say Arthur Burns and
Paul Volcker. Right. Arthur Burns was the Fed president that basically relented to a president, cut rates, and caused inflation to spike again in a double dip recession. So Arthur Burns is often called the worst Fed president ever. Wow. And Paul Volcker is often credited with breaking the back of inflation in the early 80s. by taking the funds rate up to 18%. Today we're at 4. He took it to 18 to break inflation.
Right.
Caused a nasty recession, but we finally beat inflation and the economy could grow from there. So at the end of the day, Paul Volcker is often highlighted as the best Fed president and Arthur Burns is the worst. And they were back to back. So Jerome Powell is playing this game to be Paul Volcker, not Arthur Burns.
Wow, that is awesome. I'm going to look into that. And yeah, just knowing from what I've heard, and I don't know too much about it, but I don't see Powell leaving that way.
No, he's playing for his reputation. He's playing for, his reputation. He wants to write a book, I'm sure. He wants to do speaking engagements. Right. And going out beating inflation is better than being Mr. Too Late, Mr. Too Late. So, he was wrong. He held rates too low for too long and really caused this inflation. So he wants to get rid of the transitory sting. But we'll see what happens. It's only 6 months or so. So time will tell.
Time will tell. And for all of you, I hope you guys have been doing what Zuber's been saying, and I hope you've been doing the damn work, because a lot of it's going to compound. We've talked about this for all year long. We hope you guys are staying in it, because everything that you've been working for is about to compound. We're sitting on certain ends where we just stood consistent, and it just, we got kicked hard, and I know a lot of you did, but it's the keep going, it's the fighting, it's the keep going, and then look at, we see some sort of sun, right? There's a little bit of sun now. What you guys do with that sun is up to you, and I hope that you're a part of the community. I hope that you're a part of the entire community, and most importantly, I hope you guys are going to the event in February, where we're going to break down a lot of this stuff in person. So I'm really excited for all this. And
awesome.
I'm just curious, what should investors, and I'm talking about the people that are getting into the market now, that have been waiting because interest rates have been so high, there's a lot of those, right? Rather we tell them to go make offers or not, they're still waiting. Okay, we understand that. Okay, well, there's going to be a little window. Mm-hmm. What do you
at the end of the day, investors should be doing the same thing. When I preach my message today, that means get a buy box, get a set of criteria that produces a very finite list. Look at that buy box every single day, calculate the average yield, understand what average is, and only do good or great deals. It doesn't change. The cycle doesn't matter. Your job is to always create great deals. And that's how you get wealthy. You don't get wealthy by trying to time the market. You get wealthy by doing the work. You get wealthy by being an everyday wealth builder. It's an everyday thing. That's why I wear this hat. That's why the message of the group is we are everyday wealth builders, because we know it's a daily focus, discipline, and action. That's what they should do.
So good. So good. It doesn't change, guys. I asked that question. I mean, I knew what the answer was going to be, right? But I just wanted you all to remember that repetition mastery comes from repetition, right? Amen. Repetition is the mother of mastery. So it's just doing it over and over and over again. And I just want to encourage you. I got this dose of inspiration to encourage you to just keep going, guys. I've seen so many people get out of this market because of what's going on, and some of them that deserve to still be in it, right? But they just keep going. There was a portion that, thank God, they're gone.
Yeah, thank God. You should have been gone. Yes, you're flushed.
But there were a few really talented individuals. Had you just keep going, right? Yeah. It would have been interesting. So, Zuber, we're grateful for what you do. You guys, if you haven't gotten involved in the school community, I don't know what you're doing. Get involved. And, I know they share a lot of this every single day inside of there. So
awesome. Yeah. Adrian, where can they find you?
Instagram, guys, at Adrian Hernandez. Appreciate all you do.
And don't forget, he'll be at the Vegas event. He's always there to answer questions. I appreciate you, family. Later.
Let's go.